What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, we getting back into the ground. We getting back into some news articles, right? We slowed down. We kind of took a break from that. But, we got to get back onto this thing because the corporate press, they're coming back with a vengeance, y'all. That is right. And they're going to be ramping up their rhetoric. They're ramping up their delusions. They're ramping up all their BS. Because we've got Trump coming in, y'all. We just won a massive, massive election. Just a sweeping win all the way across the country. If you look at the map that shows the rightward shift, it is not even necessarily a rightward shift because it's just a shift back to where we were before, right? Before all this Biden administration coming in and taking a massive hard turn to the left before the COVID pandemic. We're trying to get back to normalcy here, right? Trying to get back to normalcy, but, the corporate press and their delusional brainwaves going on there, they can't seem to differentiate between events and people. Right? They're just ridiculous. And we got this news article coming in from Salon. But before we get into that, I need y'all to do me that big favor right quick and to smash that like button for me and subscribe if you're new around here and you want to stay up to date with exactly how you're being manipulated by the corporate press. That is right, because you are constantly being manipulated by the corporate press on a daily basis. And, we've got to fight against these manipulations just outright because a lot of people, they live in this corporate press delusion dream world that they just make up this narrative and people actually buy into this narrative, right? And it's just not reality. It has no semblance of reality whatsoever. But without any further ado, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. I would appreciate that. But once again, here we go, y'all. Check this out. This is coming from Salon, of all places. Yeah. Well, great news site there, yeah. Big companies that denounced January 6th are now showering millions on Trump inauguration, right? And they throw up all the excuses in the world as to why these companies are doing this. Oh, they're just running scared from Donald Trump. No, that's not it, y'all. They're just confused as to reality. But, it is what it is. I still haven't figured out yet if some of these corporate press news sites, they actually believe this jargon that they're putting out, or if they actually know that they're sowing a narrative that does not align with reality whatsoever. Like I haven't figured that out yet. I don't know if they're just stupid or if they're doing this intentionally, but with the consistency of the garbage that they put out, sure does seem like it's intentional. That is for sure, because nobody can be that stupid, or at least you would think that, right? Let's get into this thing. Gone are the days of corporate tut-tutting at President-elect Donald Trump's support for white supremacist, Muslim bans, or insurrection attempts. Big business is down to deal this time. So, once again, just right from the outset, here we go with the racism, the Muslim ban, which wasn't a Muslim ban. We've proven that outright on this channel, and it's been proven on several channels all across YouTube, Rumble, all these places. People, we can read the actual executive order out and see that it was only from certain countries, right? Which they're not even fully Muslim countries. They're just mostly Muslim countries. But hang on, there's many other Muslim countries in the world that didn't have such restrictions. So, yeah, it wasn't a Muslim ban. It was a terrorist ban, right? Like, boom. And I don't know what they're talking about with supporting white supremacy. I don't get that one. Maybe it's the good people on both sides hoax that they're still trying to portray, even though that's been outright debunked several times. These people's narrative just fall apart as soon as you give a little bit of depth into what you're looking at here, right? You start to look into these things, and we quickly figure out that they're lying. They're just outright lying. But let's keep going. America's richest businesses, big banks, Silicon Valley, and car manufacturers are hoping to buy goodwill with an incoming administration through massive donations to Trump's inaugural fund. When Trump takes the podium in front of the Capitol, the very building his supporters' desecration of Drew C. Sweet scorn, which I read that a few times when I originally read this. I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that. But it is what it is. They're just driveling nonsense here. He will be standing on a stage funded by America's wealthiest corporations. At least 11 companies are reversing course, donating to the inaugural fund despite pledges to rethink donations to PACs in the wake of the January 6th attack, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, what's funny about that, what is so funny about that is, what do they mean reversing course? Right? This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. You can hold two positions at the same time. They can't differentiate between events and people. Right now, we understand something here on this side of YouTube. We understand that you can separate the man from the event. Right? January 6th was bad. Fighting with cops, attacking the Capitol, for crying out loud, breaking the glass, breaking down doors, blah, 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 breaking through barriers. These are not very good actions, right? But, however, you got Donald Trump over here. He was talking about be peaceful, right? This is one of the main reasons why they can't place the blame for January 6th solely on Donald Trump. Sure, you could put some blame for January 6th on Donald Trump. However, that is also like blaming a hurricane on a butterfly that flapped its wings on the other side of the world, if you know what I mean, right? Like, we don't blame the hurricane for the hurricane, right? So Donald Trump holds a rally. This is what I'm getting at. Donald Trump holds a rally. He says be peaceful. When his supporters break down, they start fighting with cops before he's even done speaking at the rotunda where he was speaking. How can you blame that on Trump? He wasn't even done speaking yet. So those people that were at the Stop the Steal rally could not have been at the Capitol when the attack initially starts. It just doesn't make any sense. So, you can't blame that on him. Now, once again, he did put together the Stop the Steal rally. So, sure, some responsibility is there, blah, 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 you get it. However, when you look at the fact that they stormed the Capitol before he was even done speaking, yeah, and especially when you look into, he said be peaceful, we are the party of law and order. Then he comes out with a message saying, look, you need to go home. We're the party of law and order. We don't fight with cops. Then we look at all the evidence that has come down. The weaponization of the federal government to go after peaceful protesters, for crying out loud. The fact that there were several, like 26 to be precise, and could have been more, that we just know for sure about 26. Human confidential sources in the crowd, right? Just look at Ray Epps. No, they don't claim he's a human confidential source, but they've never refuted the fact that he could be a human confidential source, if you know what I mean. And this guy's over here screaming, go into the Capitol, and what does he get? A trespassing violation? Come on, that seems fishy as hell. But let's keep going. Per the Wall Street Journal report, Ford, Intuit, Toyota, and the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America have all pledged $1 million, reversing previous vows. Now, they don't go on to state what those previous vows are, right? But once again, they can't separate events from people. I just, it is what it is. You can't tell the corporate press to tell the truth, but, AT&T, General Motors, Bank of America, and Goldman Sachs have similarly given support despite condemnations. Have they condemned Donald Trump? See, this is what I don't get about the corporate press. They say despite condemnations. Yeah, sure. I condemned January 6th outright. I also voted for Donald Trump. Those two things they're not mutually exclusive. Right? Just because you condemn January 6th doesn't mean you don't support Donald Trump. Right? People that are looking at the world with a clear vision can look and see, okay, like especially me. Once again, I'll tell this story again. I do have some new subscribers, so I will say this story. After January 6th, I was taken aback with everything about Donald Trump, right? Like, I didn't pay that close to politics when during the Trump presidency, blah, 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 right? So I look at what went on, and I'm like, I saw the corporate press narrative, and I'm like, why would Donald Trump do this? And then I started seeing all the evidence rolling in, and I'm like, well, You can't really blame that on Trump. However, the corporate press was going really hard. Now, what really put me behind Trump, and I'm not going to dig into all that, was all the indictments come out. I look into that evidence and I see, oh, hang on, this is BS. But, let's keep going. Amazon, Meta, and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman have also chipped in at $1 million each, along with cryptocurrency group Coinbase. Ripple, another crypto company, reportedly gave $5 million to the inauguration fund in its own coin. The famously transactional Trump has already made it clear that despite a pro-business and anti-consumer agenda, he can make it difficult for companies he dislikes. I wonder how that is. Like, these people's delusional dream world, right? Like, I don't understand. They think that these companies are just donating to this inaugural fund because they're scared of Donald Trump coming after them. Huh? Like, no, I'm sorry. That's not how reality works. You can't just go after a company, right? Donald Trump, especially Donald Trump, who is promoting himself as somebody who's wanting to roll back corporate taxes, to roll back regulations. That would incentivize companies to go for Donald Trump, right? That wouldn't make them scared to go for him because, hang on, that's the opposite of a, what did they call it? Anti-consumer agenda. Like, come on, y'all are just ridiculous. Y'all are just being absolutely ridiculous. Despite a pro-business and anti-consumer, like, those two aren't mutually exclusive either. On the campaign trail, Trump warned Google it could be shut down following his allegation that the company was manipulating its algorithmic search results to hurt him. Google, which donated to Trump's first inauguration and President Joe Biden's inaugural fund, has yet to pledge support for Trump's second swearing in. So what? Right? Like, yeah, Google, they did go after Donald Trump a little bit, right? Their algorithm was being manipulated somehow, because right after that assassination attempt, if you go to look up the assassination attempt, all you find is hoaxes. You couldn't find any information really about the assassination attempt. Now, they quickly fixed that, but it is what it is. But it's funny though, because go and Google anything about Donald Trump, all you will see is negative stuff. As a matter of fact, I've got something coming up here for you guys. I got a little video clip I made coming up here for you guys here in a second, because we get into some other stuff. But let's keep going. As a matter of fact, it's next, now that I'm looking at my page here. Trump has also either threatened or launched lawsuits against CBS News, the Des Moines Register, the New York Times, and Simon Schuster, each for publishing stories or accounts the president-elect disagreed with. Now, we know what's going on with the CBS News, right? They edited the 60 Minutes interview Kamala Harris did, right? They took out an answer. Now, and replaced it with another answer. Now, the excuse for that was, right, that, that was just a different part of the answer. So what? They still manipulated the footage to try to make Kamala Harris look better, because they got a lot of backlash from the original clip before the 60 Minutes, before the full-on interview aired, right? So they got a lot of backlash, like, this lady's dumb, which she is, right? She doesn't know how to speak, seemingly, right? She can't articulate her positions in such a way that it makes people understand what she's trying to say. She adds, like, most of her speech is 95% filler words that you could take out and she would still say the same thing. You could remove 95% of what she says and still have a message there, right? It's just ridiculous. But they audited that, right? Like, they took this answer and put it with so look, that's manipulation. That's, in Trump's view, I'll put it that way, election interference. I don't necessarily agree with this. I think when CBS does stuff like this, we find out about it, that just makes people lose trust in CBS. That's going to make their ratings fail. Ultimately, if they continue actions like this, the public will stop watching CBS, and eventually they will go out of business. That's what I think should happen. I don't think you should sue them. Trump is suing them, although I do understand why. Don't necessarily agree with this. Now, the Des Moines Register. That's another one. I don't understand what he's trying to get from this. She puts out a poll. It was obviously a very biased poll, but nonetheless, it was a poll. Who cares, Trump? Right? But he's suing her for that anyway. Now, they also said the New York Times. Hang on. Check this out. Okay, so I did just a cursory Google search for, Trump suing the New York Times. And I could not find a single news article or anything at all, right, as you can see here, covering this, right? And if you notice something, notice how interesting every single one of these news stories is from the New York Times. Pretty much for the first couple pages, every single one's from the New York Times, right? But there is no such lawsuit that exists. So once again, we have proven the corporate press is trying to manipulate you, and they're just outright lying when a simple Google search can prove them wrong. It's ridiculous, y'all. Outright ridiculous, these people. During his first term, Wall Street sometimes took a stand against Trump's most divisive or damaging actions. A white supremacist march in Charlotte. Oh yeah, here we go. I knew it. A white supremacist march in Charlottesville, Virginia, was an early litmus test. You gotta love these people, man. Gotta love these people. The manipulation is thick on this one, y'all. Did y'all see that? Oh, CEOs quit advisory boards and companies condemn the president after he defended demonstrators. Once again, y'all, lying outright. He defended, as a matter of fact, both sides. These people, man. Throughout his tenure, businesses reveled in tax cuts and deregulation while occasionally issuing statements condemning his actions or promoting internal DEI policies, which has nothing to do with the other. But many execs see cooperation with Trump as the easiest path forward this time. Right. Oh, we're going to just cooperate because we're scared. Funny. People just really want to move forward and move on. The election results were very clear. A representative for one company donating to the inauguration fund told the Wall Street Journal. Trump's previous inauguration raised $107 million, a figure his upcoming appointment ceremony could blow past. Major donors then included Louis DeJoy, later appointed Postmaster General by Trump, Dow Chemical, which pressured Trump to toss damning environmental studies, and Kelsey Warren, a chief investor in the Dakota Access Pipeline, which Trump greenlit as president. We'll see, once again, they're trying to throw all these things in there. Sorry, y'all. Trying to throw all these different buzz people in there, right? All these actions that Donald Trump took as to point to something, but we're not 100% sure what they're pointing to, because considering Trump's campaign promises and all this of cheap energy, like, that pipeline or whatever, yeah, that's natural. He's going to greenlight these things. But once again, they just can't seem to differentiate between events and people. But beyond inauguration financing, some companies are clearing up legal issues they have with Trump. They have with Trump in anticipation of his presidency. Disney-owned ABC News settled earlier this month with Trump in a defamation suit he launched against them, coughing up $15 million and apologizing for George Stephanopoulos' claim that a New York jury found Trump liable for you-know-what. And I'm not going to say it because YouTube doesn't like when we say those things. But, that's neither here nor there. We all know what the hell it is, right? R.I.P.E. But outside of that, right, like, they didn't mention that ABC, they're not just paying out $15 million. They're building a freaking museum for Trump right now. That's just outright ridiculous to me. That's a turnoff away from Donald Trump. Why would he force him to do this? I think it's funny, but, taking it out of the memes, out of the lulls or whatever, and bringing it back to reality, that's a giant waste of money, if you ask me. And I think it's ridiculous that they are doing this. Once again, though, it's ABC and Disney, so I don't care that much, right? Outside of that, I don't really care, but I think it's kind of ridiculous, but laughably ridiculous that they're making ABC build a museum dedicated to Donald Trump. That's just absurd and kind of crazy. Once again, outside of the lulls is ridiculous, but I'm here for that. I'm here for the memes that'll come from that. That's just great to me. But these people, they try to take any angle they can to go after Donald Trump. And I don't get that. Like, why not just give us the truth? You could spin this in such a way where you're actually telling the truth, and people will want to read these news websites for the news instead of which this is obviously dedicated to people that dislike Donald Trump a lot. To say that's dedicated to them. It's also dedicated to me, to where I can analyze this news article and make these people look ridiculous as hell, because that's what they look like. Ridiculous as hell. Like they either look very, very stupid, or they're intentionally manipulating the facts to portray a narrative that just has no alignment with reality whatsoever. But I think that's all I got for this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Like these people, they just take anything they can, right? And even when there's nothing there, they just make stuff up just to fill up the news article, I guess, right? Like, where's this New York Times lawsuit? He's going after the media, for crying out loud. Like, yeah, I understand Donald Trump is suing a lot of these places, but it's for legitimate reasons for the most part, right? Don't agree with the Des Moines Register lawsuit, but I understand why he's suing them for that, right? These pollsters, why would you put out such a biased poll, right? Like, what's the intent here, right? There is an air of intent to sway the perception of Donald Trump right before the election, to make Democrats think they're on the winning side for some reason. Maybe it's to demoralize the other side so they don't go out and vote. But, looking at it from the other perspective, that personally would make me want to get out there and say, go vote for Donald Trump because look at this poll, blah, 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 blah. So we're not sure exactly what's in play here. We don't know how that kind of thinking would work. Right? Why would you put out a very biased poll is wrong to help one side when it could easily help the other side? Makes no sense to me, but it is what it is. I understand the lawsuits, but y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.